now. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the International Criminal Court's decision to issue a warrant for his arrest is anti-Semitic. The court issued the warrant yesterday for alleged war crimes in Gaza. Warrants were also issued for former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and Hamas leader Mohammed Deif, although Israel says it killed him back in July. Netanyahu has rejected the court's allegations. Let's get now some latest reaction from Europe with SABC News correspondent William Denselow, who joins us live from Brussels. William, good to have you with us. A very good afternoon. So there's been quite a lot of mixed reaction, especially in Europe. Joseph Borrell there saying that the court's decision must be fully respected. But in Hungary, we know that Prime Minister Orbán not only said that he will defy this court order, he will, in fact, extend an invitation to Netanyahu to come to Budapest. So this must be quite confusing, especially for citizens. How have they also reacted to these mixed reviews by their leaders?
Well, as far as Josep Borrell, Europe's top diplomat and foreign affairs chief, this shouldn't be a complicated matter. Speaking at a press conference on Thursday on this issue, once this news broke, Josep Borrell said very clearly that this decision by the ICC is binding. He said that all 27 member states of the European Union have signed up to the Rome Statute at the ICC, so should therefore follow the ICC's wishes. We are, however, once again in this conflict seeing huge divisions amongst EU member states. You mentioned Viktor Orban, perhaps the most outspoken dissenting voice in Europe to the ICC's decision. He's come out and described it as brazen and cynical, as you mentioned, also offering Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's Prime Minister, immunity should he travel to Hungary in the future. Hungary, though, not alone in their condemnation of the ICC's ruling. Austria is saying that it is a disservice to the court's credibility. When it comes to those that are not outspoken about the ICC's decision, well, we've heard from Annalena Baerbock, Germany's foreign minister, who says that they will abide by the law. Belgium's foreign minister also coming out in a statement saying that those responsible for crimes both in Israel and in Gaza must be prosecuted at the highest level.
Very interesting indeed, William, because there are currently over 120 signatories that are obliged to enforce these ICC warrants. And the EU, we happen to know, is one of them. But we know that Netanyahu, as well as Israel, do not recognize the authority of the ICC, hence their refusal also to hand themselves over. But I suppose the biggest question now that was raised by Israel's biggest ally, and I'm sure you've heard the US in this regard, questioning the jurisdiction of the ICC. Are the EU leaders of this view as well, William? What discussions are currently being held to present a clear stance from the EU?
Well, the EU's clear stance has been very difficult to achieve, really, since October 7th, 2023. We've seen huge divisions amongst member states and have found it incredibly difficult here in Brussels to find any degree of common ground with regard to the war in Gaza. And we're seeing those divisions playing out with this reaction to the ICC's ruling, with the likes of Austria, with the likes of Hungary on one side, very much in support of the Israeli government, Benjamin Netanyahu, as well as the former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, who the ICC has also requested an arrest warrant for. While on the other side, you do have many EU member states, the likes of France, the likes of Spain, Belgium, that are far more perhaps in the Palestinian camp, calling and supporting the ICC's ruling this week. So once again, very much shining a spotlight on these divisions we're seeing in Europe. As far as Karim Khan is concerned, he's the prosecutor at the ICC who requested these arrest warrants, both for the Hamas leaders as well as these two senior Israeli officials back in May. He said the court's role is to vindicate the rights of all persons. He's urged all countries to uphold the court's ruling, but crucially, as you so rightly mentioned, there are just 124 nations that have signed up to the Rome Statute. Significantly, Israel and its main ally, the United States, not amongst them.
Very interesting indeed. So, William, let's look at the repercussions. Should one of those of your 27 members actually defy the court order and not arrest Netanyahu, what could be some of the potential repercussions there?
Well, in terms of direct ramifications, well, very difficult indeed to say, considering the fact that the ICC doesn't have its own police force, it doesn't have an authority-abiding kind of mechanism like that to ensure that countries that are signed up to the Rome Statute actually execute these arrest warrants, so there wouldn't be any direct ramifications like that. So certainly that will embolden countries like Hungary that will say that they would provide immunity to Benjamin Netanyahu should the need arise in the future, should Benjamin Netanyahu find himself on Europe's doorstep. But of course the real question is what this will mean when it comes to isolation, not just for Benjamin Netanyahu, not for the state of Israel, but also for countries like Hungary, should indeed these hypotheticals come to pass. Should Benjamin Netanyahu travel to Hungary in the future, should the Hungarian government not execute this arrest warrant in conjunction with the ICC's wishes, how would the EU then respond? Would they then impose their own ramifications on Hungary for such a move? At this stage, it's purely hypothetical.
Absolutely, William. I mean, we've seen quite a few instances where now citizens are really going against those that are in power, just based on some of these views that they feel that they're actually not even considered or consulted as some of the people that should be party to those decisions. Thank you so much to SABC News correspondent in Brussels there, William Denselow.